నీట్ 2020 ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా కేటగిరీలో థర్డ్ ర్యాంక్ సాధించిన శ్రీశాంత్ కు మా అభినందనలు. ఇంతటి అఖండ విజయానికి ప్రోత్సహించిన అధ్యాపకులకు మా కృతజ్ఞతలు. 2020 జేఈఈ మెయిన్ ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా అన్ని కేటగిరీస్లో 18, 35, 251, 253, 582, 606, 778, 780, 812, 821, 1031, 1039, 1303, 1575, 1654, 1753, 1754, 1978 ర్యాంకులే కాక మరెన్నో ఉత్తమ ఫలితాలు సాధించిన విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్. ఈ ఫలితాలు సాధించడానికి కారణమైన లెక్చరర్లు మరియు తల్లిదండ్రులకు మా కృతజ్ఞతలు. ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్.
Hello students, now we are discussing about the kingdom protista. Now in this protista, let us continue our discussion with the next one called slime molds. Now if you take the slime molds, these are nothing but they are saprophytic protist. They are nothing but saprophytic protistas. They are saprophytic protistas. Mainly if you look at these saprophytic protistas, generally they are saprophytic in nature, meaning they feed upon dead and decomposing organic matter. So whenever any plant or animal undergo death process, on the plant, on that animal, the microorganisms which grow and they causes the breakdown of large complex molecules into simpler molecules. Generally they are called as decomposers, which are also called as saprophytes. Now if you take these as saprophytic protistas, now if you look at structurally, now these contain a multinucleated mass of protoplasm. So here if you look at, they contain a multinucleated mass of protoplasm. Structurally if you look at, I'm just discussing about what slime molds. Slime molds structurally if you look at, they contain a multinucleated mass of protoplasm. Means here many nuclei are present and there are many nuclei. Multinucleated mass of protoplasm is surrounded by plasma membrane. It is surrounded by plasma membrane. So this is nothing but plasma membrane. This is nothing but a plasma membrane. So let's continue our discussion here. Slime molds are nothing but saprophytes. They feed upon dead and decomposing organic matter. So they are generally called as saprophytic protistas. Nothing but they are decomposers. Now structurally if you look at, slime mold structure if you look at, there are many nuclei, that is multinucleated. The mass of many nuclei together is a living matter, so we call protoplasm. So multinucleated mass of protoplasm is surrounded by plasma membrane. Now you can see plasma membrane, meaning there is no cell wall. What you can see is nothing but only the multinucleated mass of protoplasm. It's being surrounded by plasma membrane. Inside the protoplasm is living content. Inside you find many nuclei and it is surrounded by what is called plasma membrane. So slime molds are referred as a multinucleated mass of protoplasm surrounded by plasma membrane. So these slime molds, when you look at here, they move along with the twigs. These slime molds moves along with decaying twigs and leaves. They move moves along with decaying twigs and leaves and engulf organic matter, and they get engulf organic matter. What's the meaning of this here? Now these slime moths, they move along with the decaying twigs, because in the forest, you know, the dry fallen leaves, dry fallen twigs. So whenever twigs are there, whenever leaves are fallen on the surface of the soil, these slime moths, they move along with the decaying twigs and leaves. And when they are moving along with the twigs, along with the leaves, they engulf the organic matter. Means they take the organic matter. They consume the organic matter. Now if you look at the slime moths, let us take the two conditions. The slime moths, here there are two conditions. Let us take during unfavorable conditions. During unfavorable condition, what they will do, let us see. Now let us come to what they will do during a favorable environment. During a favorable environment. Let us take two conditions. Slime molds, what they do during unfavorable conditions, and slime molds, what do they do during a favorable environment. So when we take during favorable environment, first let us discuss about what slime molds do, what they will do during favorable environment. Let us continue writing. So here slime molds, SM meaning slime molds. All slime molds, they aggregate. They aggregate meaning they combine, they join together. All slime molds aggregate and forms plasmodium, and forms what is called as plasmodium. So all slime molds aggregate means they all will join, they all will combine, and they form the structure called as what? Plasmodium. Okay, so once the plasmodium is produced here, they all join and aggregate and forms the structure called as what? Plasmodium. Now this plasmodium grow several feet height. It will grow several feet height. It grow for several feet height. Meaning, so this here the cells will divide and produces multinucleate mass of cells. Again they will divide and produce multinucleate mass of cells. Like this, they grow on the wall for several feet. So they grow for several feet height. Why? Because all slime molds, they join together and they form the structure. And all slime molds, when they join together, this structure is called as what? Plasmodium. Very, very important. I repeat again. All slime molds aggregate and forms plasmodium. This all slime molds, see, you can see multinucleated mass of cells. Here also multinucleated mass of cells. Here all multinucleated mass of cells. Nothing but all slime molds, they join together and forms a structure called plasmodium. Now this plasmodium grow several feet height. It keeps growing on the wall like several feet high and during favorable environmental conditions. Now let's come back to the condition. What happens during unfavorable conditions? Now during unfavorable condition, the plasmid, here I am just writing, the plasmid what is produced over there, this plasmodium what is produced during favorable environmental conditions, the plasmodium what is produced here, it differentiates into fruiting bodies. It differentiates into a fruiting bodies like this. Okay, so what we are trying to discuss here, during favorable environment, all slime molds aggregate and forms plasmodium, and the plasmodium will keep growing up to several feet high. Now, whenever the conditions are not favorable means no food, no water, and no moisture content. Conditions are not favorable. So, during unfavorable condition, the plasmodium what is produced during favorable environment, this plasmodium differentiates into fruiting bodies, and these fruiting bodies they bear spores at the tip. They bear the spores at the tip. So here they form what is called as spores. Now here it contains only plasma membrane. Here it contains only plasma membrane. So what you have to understand automatically, here you have to understand no cell wall, meaning cell wall is totally absent. There is no cell wall, meaning cell wall is totally absent. So I'll just repeat quickly here. I'll just say protista here. What we are finding protista. Protista contains what we are discussing all one by one. We have discussed euglenoids for the last class. Now in this class we are discussing slime moths. Now if you look at these slime moths, they are saprophytic protistas, meaning they grow as decomposers. Structurally, if you look at, you find many nuclei are present. It's called, the condition is called multinucleated condition, many nuclei. So we say multinucleated mass of protoplasm, meaning many nuclei containing protoplasm surrounded by plasma membrane. It's being surrounded by plasma membrane. Now, this multinucleated mass of protoplasm is surrounded by plasma membrane. Structurally, what you have to understand, that means cell wall is absent in case of slime moths. Cell wall, no cell wall. Slime moths contain only multinucleated mass of protoplasm. Many nuclei containing mass of protoplasm. Protoplasm means living matter. It's being surrounded by plasma membrane. So automatically you have to understand, slime moths does not contain cell wall. Cell wall is totally absent. Now these slime moths, they move along with the decayed twigs and leaves, meaning they move with the whatever fallen dried twigs in the forest from the plants or the fallen leaves. Whenever they accumulate on the soil, it catches hold of them, it moves along with them. So it moves along with the decaying twigs and leaves and engulfs the organic matter. From the leaves, from the twigs, it breaks some of the complex matter into simpler matter and it eats. So it engulfs organic matter. Now these slime moths, during favorable environment, all slime moths will aggregate. They join together and forms plasmodium. Meaning they form what is called plasmodium. All what you call, this is multinucleated mass, this is called slime moth, this is slime moth, this is slime moth. All slime moths aggregate, meaning join together and form the structure. Now this is called as plasmodium. Now this plasmodium keeps undergoing divisions because favorable environment, more water, more nutrients, more moisture content is available. That's why they aggregate and form plasmodium. Now this plasmodium grows several feet high. It keeps growing on the surface of the walls. Now the same thing, suppose if it during unfavorable conditions, in summer season, there are no food, no water, no moisture content, then what it will do? So during favorable environment, whatever the plasmodium is produced here, this plasmodium differentiates into fruiting bodies. So this form the structure differentiates into fruiting bodies. Now this plasmodium, when it differentiates into fruiting bodies, these fruiting bodies bear spores at the tip. They contain spores at the tip. So here, when you look at very carefully, you try to remember the important difference between during favorable environment what they will do and during unfavorable environment what they will do. So you have to remember this is very, very importantly. Remember, during favorable environment they form plasmodium, they grow several feet high. During unfavorable environment, the plasmodium what is produced there, it differentiates into fruiting bodies and bears spores at the tip. Now try to remember, slime molds does not contain cell wall. There is no wall. What they contain is only plasma membrane. Okay, but here during unfavorable, plasmodium differentiates into fruiting bodies and bears spores at the tip. Now, how these fruiting bodies will be there? Now, if you look at, this is how this plasmodium differentiates and forms what are called fruiting bodies. These are called fruiting bodies. On the fruiting bodies, you can see the formation of spores like this. You can see the formation of spores like this. Okay. Now, these spores, what you can see here, these are nothing but spores. These are nothing but spores. What you can see, these all are nothing but spores. And here, these are what called as fruiting bodies. These are what called as fruiting bodies. The plasmodium, this is what is called plasmodium. This is what is produced here, this is what is called plasmodium. The plasmodium differentiates and forms the structures called as fruiting bodies. On the fruiting bodies, you can see formation of the spores. Now, if you look at the condition of these spores, each spore contains formation of wall. So, they contain what is called true wall. Each spore contains a true wall, like this. So, here each spore, let me talk about this, each spore here surrounded by, each spore surrounded by true wall, each spore surrounded by true wall. So, let me tell you very clearly, slime molds, if you look at structurally, the mother slime mold, if you look at structurally, it's nothing but multinucleated mass of protoplasm surrounded by plasma membrane. Meaning plasma membrane is there, but there is no cell wall. Whereas during unfavorable condition, the slime molds forms plasmodium, what is produced during favorable environment. This plasmodium forms fruiting bodies. The fruiting bodies contain spores at the tip. These are nothing but spores which are produced. But the spores contain true wall. This is very, very important. So here the spores contain true wall. Meaning wall formation is absent in slime molds. But the true wall formation occurs in the spores. This is very, very important. Spores contain, each spore surrounded by true wall. Very, very, very important. So these spores inside, again they form many spores here like this. So the spores which are produced here like this. The spores which are produced here are surrounded by true wall. Wall formation absent in case of slime molds, does not contain cell wall. They contain only plasma membrane. But during unfavorable condition, see, to protect their spores, during unfavorable condition, even the mother slime mold does not have cell wall. But to protect the spores, they form what is called as true wall. Each spore is surrounded by a true wall. Now, so here this true wall. So because of this true wall, spores are extremely resistant. Spores are extremely resistant. What's the meaning of extremely resistant? They can survive in any environment. If the environment temperature is very high, like summer season, or moisture content is more, or there is no water, no food, no moisture content, very dry and desert environmental condition, high acidic condition, high salt conditions. These all conditions are called extreme conditions. So, because of the true wall, the spores are extremely resistant to unfavorable environment. They can survive in any kind of environment. So, what is extreme meaning? Away from normal, far away from normal. So, these spores, because of their true wall, as they are protected by the true wall, because of the true wall, these spores are extremely resistant, meaning they tolerate extreme environmental conditions like high salt concentration, high acidic condition, high basic conditions, and they grow in hot springs, high temperature zones like that. How come spores can survive in all extreme environment? Because they are being protected by true wall. True wall are seen only on the spores, and these spores are present at the tip of the fruiting bodies, and such kind of spores with the true wall are produced only during an unfavorable environment. But generally, the slime walls, they lack of cell wall, and the plasmodium is also lack of wall, lack of cell wall. So because of the true wall, the spores are extremely resistant. Not only that, they are produced in large quantity. These spores are produced in large quantity. The spores are get produced in large quantity. So each mother cell here, each spore divides and forms many spores. So in each one you can see formation of many spores. So there are so many spores are being produced here. There are so many spores are being produced here. The spores are produced in large quantity. Not only that, because of true wall makes them to tolerate, resist. Even they can resist adverse environmental conditions. They resist adverse environmental conditions. So because of the true wall, spores resist, each spore resists adverse environmental conditions. Adverse meaning even that there is no proper food, no proper water also they can survive. Extreme environment means high salt, high acidity, hot springs will come. Adverse conditions means the condition is not favorable for them at all to grow. No food, no water, no moisture content, but still they can grow, right? And these spores, I am talking about the spores here, and these spores, they dispersed by air currents. These spores, they get dispersed by air currents. Okay, so here the spores which are produced here, these spores get dispersed, meaning they move too far away places by air currents. So this is what we can say very clearly, the difference between unfavorable environmental conditions with the favorable environmental conditions. So here, these are nothing but slime molds. Let's keep a talk on this. Very simple to remember. Guys, if you can concentrate and if you practice, you will get it very easily. So let me speak about this. Slime molds are nothing but saprophytic protistas. They act as decomposers. They grow on dead and decomposing organic matter. Structurally, if you look at, these are many nuclei. One nuclei of slime mold undergoes division and forms many cells. And many cells are nothing but the mass of many cells, that's nothing but a multinucleated mass of protoplasm. It's being surrounded by plasma membrane. Now you can see mass of many nuclei being surrounded by plasma membrane. Multinucleated mass of protoplasm contains plasma membrane. It means that what you have to understand, it does not contain cell wall. Cell wall is totally absent. Now these slime molds, they move along with the decaying twigs and leaves and engulf organic matter. In the forest, dry fallen twigs and leaves, they move along with these materials, they break the complex material and they consume organic matter, engulf the organic matter. And during favorable conditions, all slime molds join together, they aggregate together and forms what is called plasmodium. All will join and form the structure called plasmodium. And these plasmodium, look at in the diagram, just for understanding I have drawn the diagram. Here multinucleated mass, each one called each slime mold. There are many slime molds joined together and form the layer. Now this is what is called plasmodium during favorable environment. Now this plasmodium divides and grows and occupies up to, it grow up to several feet height. Now coming to during unfavorable condition, whatever is produced during favorable environment are the same plasmodium. Due to lack of water, food and in unfavorable environment, the plasmodium differentiates into fruiting bodies. The plasmodium differentiates into fruiting bodies. Now these fruiting bodies, they bear spores at the tip. See here, now this is what is called plasmodium. The plasmodium during unfavorable environment differentiates into fruiting bodies, large structures. And these fruiting bodies, they pair spores at the tip. Now you can see the formation of spores at the tip. Okay, now these spores which are produced at the tip of fruiting bodies, now this is nothing but a fruiting bodies here. At the tip of fruiting bodies you can see formation of spores. Now these spores, each spore is surrounded by a true wall. Now you can see there is a formation of true wall. Spores are protected by true wall. True wall formation is seen in spores during unfavorable, but actually slime molds does lack of wall. They don't contain wall. They are not surrounded by wall actually. But to protect the spores during unfavorable environment, they form true walls surrounding each spore. Now this is because of true wall, spores are extremely resistant. They survive in high zone, hot springs, high acidic conditions. Wherever they fall, they can survive extreme resistant, and they produce in large quantity because unfavorable environment may not make the spore to survive. That's why the spores are produced in large quantity. They divide inside the true wall and produce many nuclei, and they produce in large quantity. And these two, because of true wall, they resist, each spore resists adverse environmental conditions, even lack of food, water, moisture content, but still they can survive and can tolerate unfavorable conditions. Because of true wall, they will resist adverse environmental conditions. And these spores are dispersed by air currents, meaning they will be thrown to faraway places by air. They will disperse into faraway places. Wherever they fall, there they germinate again, form a complete slime moss. This is nothing but a short story about slime moss. All points are very easy to remember. Just practice and try to remember about slime moss, which fall in the category called Protista. Now, in the Protista, if you take in the Protista, now let us study about protozoans. Let us study about protozoans. So, in Protista, what are the important things we are discussing? We were discussed about chrysophytes, nanoflagellates, euglenoids, and along with the slime molds we have discussed. Now let us continue with protozoans. Now what are these protozoans? Now if you look at these protozoans, generally they are like, you can see all protozoans are heterotrophic in nature. All are heterotrophic in nature. Suppose if the assertion and reason statement, if you look at all euglenoids are heterotrophic in nature, does you think it's true statement? No. Some of the euglenoids are autotrophic and some of the euglenoids are heterotrophic. But coming to here protozoans, remember one thing, all protozoans are heterotrophic in nature. Very important. Meaning they depend on other organisms for the intake of food materials. Now this, mostly they act as, some of them are predators, mostly they act as predators, or they act as parasites. Okay, so here if you look at some, they act as predators or they act as what? Parasites, means they depend on other organisms. That's why they are referred as predators, or that's why they are called as parasites. Now, if you look at these protozoans, mostly here that does not contain the cell wall. Here also they are referred as same thing like that. A multinucleated mass of protoplasm is surrounded by, it's being surrounded by plasma membrane. It's being surrounded by a plasma membrane. So same like slime molds, but slightly differ in terms of their characteristics. So when you say that they are multinucleated, meaning they does not contain cell wall. They does not contain cell wall, means cell wall is totally absent. most common features, they are somewhat similar to the slime mods, but protozoans are different in terms of their nature as well as characteristics. But few characters are similar to the slime mods here. Now if you look at, all protozoans are heterotrophic in nature, means they act as predators or parasites, definitely, because they depend on other organisms and they take the shelter. That's why they are called as parasites. Predators, they catch hold of the lower trophic organisms and they eat and consume. That is how they survive. Then these protozoans also, they are many nucleated mass containing many nuclei. That meaning multinucleated mass of protoplasm, it's being surrounded by plasma membrane. This is a character similar to the slime ball, and that does not contain cell wall, meaning cell wall is totally absent. Now, these are divided into, protozoans are further divided into many categories, but mainly divided into protozoans are mainly divided into 4 categories. Mainly divided into 4 categories. Now, what are these 4 categories? Let us list out them. They are referred as, first one is amoeboid protozoans. First one is amoeboid protozoans, and second one is flagellated protozoans, and the third category is ciliated protozoans, and the fourth one is sporozoans. And the fourth one is sporozoans. So of course, protozoans are further divided into main categories. There are so many categories are there, but they mainly divide into 4 categories. What are the 4 categories? Protozoans are, if they contain like the structure, amoeba will fall in the category called protozoan because of all pseudopodia and all that. Anyway, the first category is amoeboid protozoans. Second category, they contain flagella to show the locomotion, to move from one place to other place. They are called as flagellated protozoans. If they contain cilia, they are referred as ciliated protozoans. And the lastly, what we find them are called as what? Sporozoans. Now, if you look at these sporozoans, now they are different in structure and categories. Now, let's come to the first one, very first one. Let us discuss about very first one. The first one is called as amoeboid protozoans. Let us discuss very first one. Let us discuss all 4 in one by one. Now, let us start with the first one. What is the very first one? First one is referred as amoeboid protozoans. Let us discuss about first one, what? Amoeboid protozoans. Now, if you look at these amoeboid protozoans, now these amoeboid protozoans, they are referred as predators or called as parasites, meaning same points will come, they are heterotrophs, and moreover they are predators and parasites. Okay. Now, these, if you take the predators or parasites, now they are also referred as primitive relatives of animals. They are referred as primitive relatives of animals. Meaning what? Euglenoids resembles plant characteristics. Means primitive characteristics of plant observed in euglenoid. Either of the way you can say the statement. Similarly, protozoans are having some characters similar to the animal. That's why, guys, if you remember, in the beginning of biological classification introduction, we say that Euglena, Elio placed in protozoa, and even what you call amoeba, Elio placed in what you call animal kingdom. Now, Euglena placed in plant kingdom and amoeba placed in animal kingdom, because amoeba shows some characteristics which are related to the animals. That's why Elio in 2 kingdom classification and 3 kingdom classification, Elio, because amoeba shows the characters related to animals. Amoeba is placed in animal kingdom. Euglena, because it shows few plant characteristics, it's placed in plant kingdom. Now, according to five kingdom classification given by R.H. Whittaker, what is the point we discussed in the introduction? So here, R.H. Whittaker, Euglena earlier placed in plant kingdom, now placed in Protozoa, in Protista, and what you call amoeba. Amoeba earlier placed in animal kingdom, now placed in Protista, nothing but under Protozoans. Did you remember this point in the introduction what we studied? Yes, when we studied about two kingdom classification, three kingdom classification, four kingdom classification. So what are the important discoveries R.H. Whittaker made? Euglena earlier placed in plant kingdom. Now according to five kingdom system of classification, R.H. Whittaker placed Euglena in Protista under Protozoa, right? And in Protista, Euglena placed in Protista, and earlier the amoeba is placed in animal kingdom because amoeba has the characteristics, the primitive characteristics are related to the animals. So earlier it is placed in animal kingdom. Now R.H. Whittaker in five kingdom classification he brought to the Protista and kept under Protozoans. So whenever you get the question that primitive relatives of animals, if you take, that means that is best example is nothing but amoeba. So here, what is the best example? They are nothing but amoeboid protozoans. The best example for amoeboid protozoans is nothing but amoeba. So amoeba is an example for amoeboid protozoans. They are predators, parasites, heterotrophs, but they are primitive relatives of the animals. Okay, now apart from this, if you look at, even this does not contain cell wall. They does not contain cell wall. Same points, look at here. The points which are the protozoans, predators, parasites, multinucleated mass of protoplasm does not contain cell wall. So all protozoans will have the same characteristics. Under protozoans, we are taking the first category, that's amoeboid protozoa. Here they are predators, parasites, heterotrophs, same common point. That's why it's kept in protozoans. And they are primitive relatives of animals. That's very important. Best example is amoeba. Amoeba will fall in the category called amoeboid protozoans. And here very important thing, it does not contain the cell wall. So here very important thing is they are primitive relatives of the animals and does not contain the cell wall. Now if you look at here, they move and capture. They move and capture prey. So here we say by putting out pseudopodia. By putting out pseudopodia. This pseudopodia, what you find here, this is itself is also called as false feet. This itself is called as what? False feet. Now, automatically you can understand the best example what we discussed is nothing but amoeba. Now, you know amoeba is most commonly known example to all of you know how to draw amoeba. Right. Now, amoeba belong to amoeboid protozoans, fall in the category called protozoans. Now, this amoeba, they move, and amoeboid or amoeboid protozoans, they move and capture the prey, whatever the one which they want to catch. They move and capture the prey by putting out pseudopodia or false feet. They put the out one, that is called pseudopodia. And look at the example. I'll just show you the diagram. So if you look at, so if you think this is amoeba, you know this is how they put the false feet out. So this is what is called pseudopodia, or we call false feet. The elongated portion of amoeba. This is what is amoeba. Nucleus is there, vacuole is there. So this is what is the diagram which you know very well about amoeba. So amoeba has a nucleus, vacuole, is a food material. It possesses the elongated structure, that is what is called pseudopodia, or itself it appears like a feet. That's why it's called as a false feet. Pseudopodia or itself is called as what? A false feet. With the help of false feet, now it move and capture the prey by putting out the pseudopodia or what we call false feet. It takes the prey and eats and consumes with the help of false feet. It's called pseudopodia. It's commonly found in case of amoeba. Now, apart from this, now if you look at marine forms have the organisms which grow in marine water. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. On their surface. So, where do you find silica shells? Did you remember? Chrysophytes. Chrysophytes contain silica shells. Two thin overlapping layers. Outer layer is called epitheca. Lower layer is called hypotheca. Do you remember? Two silica shells. Similarly, in case of amoeboid protozoans which grow in marine water, they are called marine forms. Marine forms generally they have the shells which are made up of silica on their surface. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Now, importantly, if you look at here, some of them are parasites. Some of the amoeboid protozoans are parasites. Some are parasites, meaning they depend on other organisms. Some are parasites, moreover they causes diseases. Some are parasites and moreover, if they exist as parasites, they depend on other organisms and they are responsible for causing the diseases. So the best example for this is nothing but the example is entamoeba. Entamoeba responsible for causing disease when it is acting as a parasite. Very, very important. Now, if you look at these all points related to the first category called as amoeboid protozoans. They are referred as what? Amoeboid protozoans. So, if you look at, I'll just repeat here, all protozoans, they are heterotrophic, they are predators or act as parasites. Alright, and their multinucleated mass of protoplasm is being surrounded by plasma membrane. That itself is a characteristic feature of slime mold as well as the protozoan. Remember, so what are the similarities? Same point, find where earlier and where it is present. Just previously we studied slime molds. Slime molds contain the same character, followed by protozoans also contain the same character. In both cases, cell wall is totally absent. I am just repeating these all points in simple form we have mentioned here. Very simple for you to listen and understand and practice it on the paper, right? Now these protozoans mainly divide into four categories. What are they? Amoeboid protozoans, next is flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and lastly are sporozoans. Now let us continue discussion with the first one, amoeboid protozoans. Now these are also the same characteristics, heterotrophs, predators, parasites. That's why they fall in the category called as protozoans. Now they are primitive relatives of animals. So according to R, it should take a character. Amoeba endure placed in animal kingdom because they show characteristics related to the animals. So that's why they are called primitive relatives of animals. Means first formed organisms with animal characteristics. I hope you got the meaning. They are called primitive relatives of animals, meaning first formed organisms which show characteristics like animals. That's why they kept in animal. But again, I should take a broad from animal kingdom and kept in protista. Right. Similarly, Euglena also same. Euglena contains plant characteristics placed in plant kingdom. But again, RH should take in 5 kingdom classification, brought and kept in a kingdom called protista. So, and moreover, does not contain cell wall. I mean, cell wall is absent. That means protoplasm is surrounded by plasma membrane. Same characteristic will come here. Plasma membrane is there. Protoplasm contains plasma membrane but does not contain cell wall. So it's been moving from one place to another place. It moves and captures the prey by putting out pseudopodia, or itself is called false feed. Now most common example amoeba, you know the diagram where here it contains nucleus, vacuole, rutherford material, all, and it elongates and forms a structure that is what is called pseudopodia. Pseudopodia itself is also called as false feed. Pseudopodia itself is also called as what? False feed. Now with this, it catches hold of the prey and it takes the food and engulfs the food. And marine forms have silica shells on their surface. The organisms of amoeboid protozoans which grow in marine water, generally the shells are made up of silica. And some are parasites. parasites means they depend on other organisms and they may be responsible for causing diseases. One of the best examples for this is nothing but what? Entamoeba. So this is the first category called as amoeboid protozoans.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.